Hello and welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I apologise for my voice. I've got the croak, as you can tell. Well, the market's certainly alive and well and hot to trot. We had, ironically, 1,111 properties went to auction on Saturday and 70.01% sold under the hammer, and the usual sold before, sold after. So we're still in a very, very strong market, and all the indicators continue to be that it's the undersupply that's the issue in that sector of the market. Interestingly enough, Simon Birch and I were discussing that we've never seen the market this segmented in the past. You've got the home market, you've got the townhouse market, you've got the apartment market, you've got the villa market, and they're all performing differently at the moment. The home market's the runaway, the house market. Townhouses are really catching up at the moment, simply based on the affordability sector. And the apartments are so under threat at the moment, or under attack, because if you actually analyse the investors and where they're mostly putting their funds, it's actually in the apartment market. And the government is so keen to slow down the real estate industry at the moment, the boom that we've got, that it's absolutely under fire. The good news is that in going principal and interest at the moment, the banks are following a lot of the government's criteria and increasing the benchmarking. But more than ever in the last 8 weeks, my clients have actually turned some of their interest-only loans into principal and interest. And we've done the numbers. You're on average for about a $550,000 property, paying your loan off at $600 a month. But currently, interest only now is really heading north of 5. And you can get interest, principal and interest in the sort of mid-4s. So when you actually do the numbers, it's quite worthwhile looking at what you'll pay extra out in interest, which really just goes to the bank, versus paying out reducing debt. So we're finding a big uptake in that. Interestingly enough, it was announced today that the banks have just recorded the lowest amount of interest-only loans since 2009. So isn't it amazing the volume of loans that the banks are doing, that within an 8-week period we've now achieved what the government's objective was, and that is to get more people reducing debt in their investment properties, and I guess really just trying to slow things down. What's concerning Simon and I at the moment is the tough, stringent policies that the government's put onto the banks to service investment loans at the moment. And what I would suggest to a lot of people is, if you're currently waiting for an off-the-plan property to settle, I suggest that you speak to your broker or your bank to check your serviceability. So here's the thing, at the moment, the banks are being forced to service you at 7.25% interest and principal. So that's the first criteria. The second criteria is they're being forced to service you on the surplus. So in the past, if you say earn $6,000 a year and your living expenses were $4,000, the bank would look at the interest only, the depreciation, your tax return, and say you can easily live off the $2,000, the difference. Whereas now they're looking at you servicing 7.25 principal and interest, which, if you look at the difference, can be up to $1,000, $1,100 more a month. So what's happening is, I've had some clients who've had a baby unexpectedly, so the wife's become pregnant, we've lost their income, and the serviceability is tougher. The people who are also under threat at the moment are the self-employed people whose wages do, ebb and flow with their work output in the market, and obviously economic and trade conditions. So I would just suggest that you go and check your serviceability at the moment. I know that we've got probably 30 apartments settling in the next 12 months, and I'll be finding every single client a meeting with them just to double check and cross check. And particularly if you're self-employed, you might need to target certain income criteria. So that's a concern. It's something we have to look out for, and that's probably the big message for today, and that is, inspect what you're expecting, that you'll have the serviceability that you need to settle anything that you've bought that you haven't settled quite now. It's far too many settlements in all of that statement. Anyway, lovely winter's day here, and nice and chilly. I spoke to Greg Hocking this morning, and he's expecting an avalanche of properties to come on after the football grand final, so I think we're going to have an extremely robust spring, and I can't really see much of a stall in the home and townhouse market. And the good thing is that we are now starting to see some good signs of recovery in the other sectors of the investment market. So we've been a bit hit, but we're in it for the long haul, and that's what counts. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I look forward to sending you another message next week. Take care.